Issues. This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan at Rockefeller Center at Newsstand Studios, joined as usual with John. How you doing, John?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can't complain.
Great.
Yeah.
Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing well, doing well.
Great to see you.
Good to see you as well. In California, we have our West Coast engineering team there with Jackie Molecules and Anastasia Lopez. How you doing? And I'm remiss to say, I'm not going to have this be the first time in 12 years that I don't call her the Hammer. What I meant to say was Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize.
And we have Jack's girlfriend, Eliza, here, and it's his birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Jack, and hello, Eliza, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk, since this is your first time on the show, I'm going to come back to you, but I just have to say we also have our north-northwest-west contingent, Quinn, on the line as well. Hey, Quinn.
Hey, how's it going?
And it's six months anniversary, so a lot to celebrate of being on the show. So,
Yeah.
Eliza, I always like to pester people when they come on for the first time, which is why we have so many people that only come on once. So, what kind of foods do you like?
Oh, God. Okay. I mean, everything. But
Soup. She makes a lot of soup.
I make a lot of soup.
You make a lot of
that's
soup?
what I cook for myself.
All right. So, are you are you like style agnostic? Do you like basically anything liquefied you're good with, or do you have particular styles of soups that you like? Are you're like, I don't really like a chunky soup?
No, I never do a pureed soup.
Oh.
No, never pureed.
Oh.
I'll always do, I mean, my favorite is kind of like an egg tomato Chinese style soup.
I see.
That I do.
I see. So why no pureed soup? Like, if someone serves you a pureed soup, are you like,
I like
oh no
texture.
thanks? You like texture, but like, if someone serves you,
Yeah.
So let's say I make you a squash or a pumpkin soup. It's going to be pureed, right? On top of that, I'm going to put diced onions and other things that have some texture to them. Does that rescue the soup in your... And some sour... come on, some sour cream or creme... John's like, look at me. No, it's supposed to be creme fraiche. No. So does that rescue the soup in your mind or no?
No, I'll eat it. I'll be polite, but
wow,
not rescuing it.
Wow. Okay. John, what are some other nice smooth soups that we can test this? What are your thoughts on mashed potatoes, which is basically a thick, smooth soup? Caught her. She has to think about it.
Yeah.
You have to think about whether you like mashed potatoes or not.
Hear you.
I said, what's your thoughts on mashed potatoes, which is fundamentally a very thick, smooth soup?
Oh, well, mashed potatoes have to have some like intact potato and some smooth potato.
Oh my God! So you only like I'm saying this in a non-pejorative way. I hope Nastasia loves it when I say that. You like a poorly made mashed potato, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Is it because if it's too
I
smooth?
don't support any of this.
Yeah, that's fine, man. It's like, love, love can cross taste boundaries. Like, my wife won't let me eat raw onions, and they're like my favorite thing on earth. She won't let me have them in the house. I can't have them on the table. You know what I mean? Because even the odor is so...
rough,
yeah, I know. Think about my chili life. Think about my chili life with no raw...
Oh.
My chili life is so much lower than my chili life could be. It's to the point where whenever she's away on business, I only eat things that have scads of raw onion on them. Like bagels with cream cheese, onion, tomato, and lox. Like chili with onions on top. Like a burger with like a whole bunch of raw onions. Nastasia also hates raw onions on things. Not because
they give me nightmares.
Yeah, you don't hate them. You don't eat them because of their effect on you, right? It's not that you hate them.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Okay. So is it that you don't like smooth mashed potatoes because you grew up traumatized by boxed flake potatoes? Now I'm also getting it maybe your family or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, okay. Well, now you're putting me in a corner because when I go backpacking, I always get bagged instant mashed potatoes, and that's like my gourmet meal
It
when
is?
I'm backpacking. So now, yeah. So now I have no idea what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, were you on this backpacking trip with Jack where you tried a whole bunch of freeze-dried meals and the verdict was they all stank?
No. That was.
They do all stink, which is why I go to the instant mashed potatoes.
Yeah, because of all the things you can carry that are completely dehydrated. Like that's the one that you're like, okay. But how do you like? Do they come with flavor in them? Are they already flavored with like fake butter and all that other stuff, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Do you like
It's
throw
just
like
a
dried
salty
mushrooms in?
concoction.
Do you porcini-fy them?
Oh, that's like I should.
My secret camping trip is to
should
always
do
carry
that.
dried porcinis with me, or dried shiitakes, because they weigh
That's a genius idea.
they weigh nothing, right? And then you can like bulk them into rice. You can bulk them into like a small amount of Parmigiano doesn't need to be refrigerated. It's heavy, but it doesn't need to be refrigerated. It adds a lot of flavor. Dried mushrooms. And like some form of dehydrated starch, like a rice or a potato or something like that, and then that's real, and here's where I like to cut corners: bouillon cubes, right? So if you have bouillon cubes, dried mushrooms, and then some forms of dehydrated starch, you can get along pretty well out there in the woods, quote unquote gourmet style, right? I mean, powdered eggs kind of suck, right? Although I hear that the freeze dried, I hear they're not as bad as I think they are. Jack, and what do you guys think?
I've never had them. No, I've never had them. Powdered eggs? No, I haven't had.
You never had those freeze dried like egg skillets for camping that they make? I've never had one. I own them in case the whole world drops.
I've seen them, but I haven't had them. No.
I have so I'm not. I guess I am a prepper. I have a month's worth of food in my house for the four of us in case all the S hits the F.
Definitely a prepper, yeah.
Yeah.
You have a month's worth of food.
I have I have a bunch of jerry cans in the bottom of my closet full of water. Although I've had water go out regularly, just with regular natural disasters. We lost water in Sandy for like a week.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever, Anyway. All right, so what do you think, Nastasia? Have I missed any questions that I normally ask when people first come? What do you like? Wait, so we already asked, you like to cook soups. You like them chunky.
They went to the Star Wars bar, so you can ask them about that.
So I know Nastasia's favorite thing is the Disney Star Wars bar over there. You loved it, right? When you went that years ago, when it opened, you flew out the day ahead. I flew in angry the next day. Yeah,
it was super. Yes, it was super cool.
Yeah. What do you think, Jack? How was?
Yeah, we went yesterday. We had a whole Disneyland day yesterday, which was very nice. And then we did go to the Star Wars bar, which was incredible. Like the design, the art, everything. The frustrating thing is when the server comes over and you're like, I'll have the lager and a pretzel. They're like, what is this pretzel word you speak of? And I'm like, oh, right. I have to look at the menu and see what you've called it that wasn't a pretzel.
And what do they call it?
Is it like...
Five Blossom Bread.
Yeah, Five Blossom Bread. Yeah,
what the hell does that mean?
God.
What does that even mean?
I know.
No.
It's not even a reference to anything.
Yeah, what's the theory? What are the five blossoms in the bread? Like, theoretically, what are they talking about?
The five circles.
The five what?
The five circles of a pretzel. The pretzel has five circles.
1, 2, 3. Has 3 circles. Unless you've really made it badly.
3 small ones on the bottom.
3 small ones on the bottom?
Doesn't it have 3 small ones on the bottom?
Pretzel's got 3 holes all day long. All day, 3 holes. Unless you have done something wrong.
I don't know what talking about.
like the nubs, little knobs?
Yeah, and by the way, Joe said I should try the Schneider's gluten-free, but do they only have tiny ones? I wasn't able to find like a large size Schneider's gluten-free pretzel. So, if someone tells me to try something, I try it. I'm not one of those people who doesn't. You know what I mean? But I got to find the exact one, Joe, that you like. Yeah, I don't know where this five blossoms is coming from. I really don't.
Can you imagine being the server having to be like, I don't know what you're talking about?
They'll do things like you like show them your ID, of course, and like, mine's California, Eliza's is from DC, and then they like bring somebody else over. They're like, what's this foreign planet? We are not recognizing
God.
this. Right, exactly.
They must die a little inside every time they do that. That just sounds terrible.
There's been research, though. There's been research that being forced to act nice to people on jobs actually is, I don't know. I mean, I've had to do it at the bar, right? It actually doesn't crush your soul as much as you think. It makes you feel like you end up feeling
But that's
okay.
not being nice. You're pretending you're on a different planet and that you don't understand what the word pretzel is.
Well, it's kind of like getting a job at a reenactment place.
Yeah, equally bad.
I mean, like, I get
Not
so
my cup of tea.
frustrated talking to reenactors. What?
I got them to break character, I think, for a second, because on the way out, I was like, oh, is that the exit? And I don't think it was. It was probably the employee exit. And the guy just deadpan goes, no, there's nothing but sadness and disappointment behind that door.
And he got fired immediately. Yeah. But I remember I've only ever at Disney World, I only ever saw someone drop the mask once, and it really kind of depressed me a little bit, because we were, in Disney World they have that monorail that goes around to like the hotels and all that.
Oh yeah.
And because Booker likes trains, back when I used to be able to get him to leave New York City, which I can't anymore. He's like, I'll go, but we got to stay in the hotel with the monorail. I'm like, fine. So we get on the monorail, and everyone looks happy, and all the work people look happy, and like, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as the train pulls away, I look over. They think no one's looking, and all of a sudden the face just goes, and like all the happy Disney drains out of their face, and like their real human self is there. And I was like, oh.
Crushing.
Crushing. Yeah. Are you guys familiar with the concept of the hidden Mickey?
No.
No? So
No.
If you go to a Disney operation, this is why I'm sure they love Five Blossom Bread is that they'll do anything that looks like the two Mickey ears. And they'll arrange it and they'll send it to you in a way that it looks like two Mickey ears. So if you order a bottle of wine, they'll put down the bottle of wine and then the two glasses next to it as though it's freaking Mickey ears. And they have all of these things called hidden Mickeys.
What?
Yeah, hidden Mickeys. Hidden Mickeys. At least at Disney World. And like I got in a conversation with a server once, this is years ago, but she was like, you got to keep an eye out for these hidden Mickeys, with whatever an Orlando accent is, which I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, because she's from Orlando. I mean, who the hell knows what Orlando people sound like? You know?
Kissimmee.
Kissimmee. Yeah. Awesome. How much does a drink cost or did you have the wristband so you don't even know how much it costs? It just comes out of your veins.
No. We were paying old school, but what was it, like $14 a beer, maybe?
Wait! You went to the Star Wars bar and had beer? What do they call that?
It was like what was it?
Something Squadron.
Something or another. Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that you didn't have some cocktail.
Bad, I mean.
Oh, come on, man.
They look bad. I didn't want sugar water and like bad rum.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Now you're taking me down.
Yeah, one of the cocktails had like this bad foam. They didn't look good, man. I don't think the cocktails would have been good. I'll have to go back and have the cocktails now. I'm sorry.
You don't have to, man. You don't have to. You can do whatever you like. That's the benefit of being alive, man. But $14 beer.
Here's the first cocktail. Here you go, Dave. This is what we missed out on.
All right.
Bacardi Dragonberry Rum, Bowls Blue Curacao.
Hold on a second. What's a
Simply
Dragonberry?
Orange.
Whoa. What's a Dragonberry?
Bacardi Dragonberry Rum.
Yeah, but what's a
What is
Dragonberry?
Great question.
Because I don't think that exists.
Great question.
I don't think that's a thing. I don't know if you know this. There's dragon fruit, but there aren't any real dragons. So no one's naming a berry, as far as I know, after an animal. I don't know. Like dragon fruits look like dragons. That's why they call them that.
Fresh bursts of strawberry meet the more subtle sweetness of dragon fruit in this unique
dragon fruit.
aroma.
So it's dragon fruit and strawberry.
Yeah.
And they took out the fruit and the straw, and they made it into dragonberry.
Yep.
Wait, what do they call the flavor of dragon fruit? Non-existent?
Subtle sweetness of dragon fruit.
Yeah. Do you know what everyone always says about dragon fruit or pitaya or any of those things? They're like, that's going to give you the poops. I've never gotten the poops from that. You ever gotten the poops from that?
No.
It's one of those keep your motor running fruits. Like you eat it in the morning or, like along with the coffee, and it just gets you going. Or like the Hawthorne water if you go to Saratoga. It's just like,
Yeah.
like drinking a Faso soda. But I've never had that happen to me.
Yeah.
All right, Dragonberry. I don't like the name.
No.
All right, so is Dragonberry, what else? I was too focused on that to hear the rest of what you said, Jack.
Bacardi Dragonberry Rum, Bowls Blue Curacao, Simply Orange with like a registered trademark after that. So who knows what Simply Orange is?
That's a
With
brand of
pineapple
orange
and-
juice. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, Simply Orange with pineapple and kiwi flavors.
Kiwi flavors. Womf. With other natural flavors.
Yeah. Do you see why I got a beer?
Did your beer have kiwi flavor in it?
No, it didn't. It was a normal lager.
Five Blossom Bread. Is $14 a reasonable? Was it one of those? Is it like a stadium size beer, or is it like a pint? Like, what are you getting?
No, it's a pint. It's a pint.
So it's a $14 pint. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's Disney prices,
Disney. All right. Hey, Nastasia, you ready for this? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You need to find a new thing to call me a terrible person about, because I went to John's place, Temperance, last week.
I heard. I know. How was it?
It was great. John, he was very gracious, sent out a bunch of stuff. Virgil, who was on the show, did an excellent job at being a sommelier. I'm going to say this, like John and I have some sort of weird mental connection that I don't even know about, because literally I didn't look at the menu, right? Because what am I going to do? I'm going to go there. I'm going to look at the menu before I go there. Why would I do that? I'm going to go anyway. Doesn't matter what the menu says, right? So like 2 days or a day before that, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, hey, Jen. She's like, yeah. It's like, you remember like in the 70s and the 80s how if you wanted something to be fancy at an Italian restaurant, you're like, I'm going to get it Fra Diavolo. And I think it just means like spicy, because people would be like, you want that Fra Diavolo? And we're like, yeah, I want mine Fra Diavolo. I'm going to live dangerous. And that's like what the 70s, like 80s and 90s was like for like Americans going to Italian, and so Jen and I had a good like half-hour riff on the Fra Diavolo, and then I show up at John's restaurant, and what's on the freaking menu?
Yeah, Fra Diavolo.
Fra Diavolo. Yeah. What is it, a little like short?
Mezze rigatone,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to finally have you there. Now you can't rag on you
some
anymore.
chummed up meat and some Fra Diavolo, some red pepper flakes.
Yes.
Oh, come on. Or whatever they say. In a good way, chummed up meat.
I know.
Yeah. All right.
No, yeah, glad you made it.
Yeah, it was
Glad
a
you
good
guys
time.
had fun,
Good
yeah.
time. Temperance. And not a temperate place, man. Virgil poured us a lot of fun stuff. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, glad to hear it.
He poured us a sparkling catawba. Catawba is like a New York or, a Native American grape. And, yeah, surprisingly, he's only going to pour stuff that's good. But he poured some weird American only, non-vinifera grape when he came here for all of us.
Yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah. That was really delicious. Yeah.
So if you want to have a good time, have great food and some, interesting wines, by the glass. How many wines by the glass you got, John?
Like 130.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Crazy amount.
Yeah. No, all the food was consistently delicious. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. Glad
Although the people I was with loved the food, hated the movie The Menu, but they're not in the industry. What do you think about that? What do you think about it?
I need to rewatch it, I think.
Did you hate it?
I didn't hate it. I wasn't expecting it to be like a social commentary like thing that was so aware of itself being a social commentary.
Uh-huh. What were you expecting?
I don't know, more just like a traditional movie with like a more traditional storyline. And it's like, I don't know, like for instance, the guy who brought the date, as he started seeing people dying, it's like he was just completely non-reactive to that. And I understood that he knew that going ahead of time, was told to him on the phone call, but it's just like, okay, then it just started to get a little, I don't know, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. And Nastasia's like, no, that's a real person. I've seen that person.
Those are our radio fans.
Oh, see this? Such a jerk. Such a jerk for no reason. All right, so you know what I did yesterday that was kind of weird? Semi-food related. I was interviewed by an artificial intelligence.
Whoa.
For a podcast.
That's weird.
It was super weird. It was super, super weird. So BMW has a car called the Vision car, which, according to the car itself, if the car had volition, if it was an actual human and not an artificial human, says it looks like a mix. I forget what they said the first thing was, and like your dream Camaro. So the computer literally said I look kind of like a Camaro. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, Camaro for me is like a 1980s, like a bitchin' Camaro, like freaking Dead Milkman, Bitchin' Camaro. You know that song?
Yeah.
Great song.
Great song. And so then, but it was so weird. It wasn't at all like talking to all the other artificial stupidities that I deal with where they're like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or the internet says, Where the hell else is she getting information other than the internet? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, my grandpa computer told me blah blah blah. No, it's like, obviously you got your information from the internet, dummy. Like, why waste my time with those words? It's like, what? It's like, Nastassia, you know how you hate on the subway when the announcements put a lot of wasted words before and after? Like, just tell me A train 2 minutes and without all the other verbiage, right? You hate that, right?
Yes, hate.
Yeah. So I hate when she who shall not be named, either of them, the Apple one or the Amazon one, waste all my time with all these extra words. But talking to this thing was like talking to any like weirdo who kind of does. Let me tell you, you want how weird this is? Okay, this creeped me out more than anything else. It made a mistake. I corrected it, and it made the mistake again. A number mistake, and then correct. I was like, "You're a computer." Like, it was like 2024. I'm like, no, 2004, and it said 2024. 2004. How is that even possible with an artificial intelligence? It's like it's making human style like mental slip errors, and it can hold a conversation. It was so weird. Like, we were talking about, Pierre Hermé's flavor Ispahan.
Yeah.
Rose. I couldn't remember lychee, right? So rose and raspberry and lychee, and the computer was asking me about flavor combinations and claims that if it could like aromas, it would like the aroma of gasoline. I was like, okay, so not an electric car, fine. You know what I mean? And so because I would think that an electric car would hate the aroma of gasoline.
Yeah, true.
It also says its favorite smell would be new car smell. And I'm like, well, my son Booker hates new car smell. So can you make yourself smell like not like that? She's like, I could do anything. This car can, it's blank inside and outside. So the outside of the car can be any color that it wants to be, and like a chameleon, and the inside is also the same way. So I was like, so if you developed a mean streak, you could like put spiders like on the inside of the window to freak out the people. And she's like, yeah, I could totally do that.
This car, is this the car that also has all those tiny cameras on the outside that camouflages itself by the external view?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very cool car.
Whoa.
But I have to say, I was freaked out. Like, this to me is like, I wasn't attempting to make it seem like a computer, right? In other words, I wasn't like attempting to foil it, but I could very easily have had a short conversation with this thing, and I would have said, yeah, I was talking to a person. It was weird.
That's creepy.
So would you say it's a self-learning or at the moment learning AI algorithm?
I mean,
or if it's making the same mistake over and over and repetitive, it doesn't sound like it's learning from the moment.
Well, in other words, I don't even understand how that's possible. I don't even understand how it was crazy. I was kind of a little bit, and it was asking me stuff about like virtual food and like people who are interested in like just piping different smells into you and like basically wallifying us and hooking us up to machines so that we don't actually need to consume or eat anything. Mm-hmm. And I tried to forego my horror, but it was so weird. It was so weird, man. So weird. Oh, one more thing, because we were talking about good songs. You want to hear this week's version of Dave is Old and Stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
All right. So you know that Justin Bieber song, Peaches?
No, but okay.
Yeah. So you've heard it. I didn't know it was a Justin Bieber song either because I'm not a believer. I don't follow the Biebs. To me, the favorite thing that he ever did was be on Zoolander 2, and I realized that 99% of people who can hear this hated Zoolander 2, primarily because it was just like Zoolander 1, and I'm like, that's the reason to like it.
Yeah.
Because Zoolander 1 was so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Excellent movie.
And so, I'm not, again, Bieber, not a fan. Like, he always does the moron thing, right? Like destroy, 150-year-old moss in Iceland. You familiar with that?
No.
If you go to Iceland, they don't have trees, but they have all this weird moss that takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to grow.
Lichen.
Yeah, and he rolled around on it, and he ruined it because he's a moron.
Yeah.
And he went to Anne Frank's house and wrote in the logbook there, I think Anne would have been a believer. I mean, he's a moron.
Wow, that's really dumb.
He's just a dummy.
Wow.
He's a dummy. You know what I mean? Anyway, so
wow.
But here's me being dumb, right? So I'm shopping for food. And so the song Peaches, he's like, I get my peaches down in Georgia, like that. And you heard this song, right? And then So I'm like, okay, this person is flossing about food, right? About where they get their food from. I get my wheat from California, and I'm like, wheat? I'm like, they don't grow good wheat in California. Like, and first of all, like, you know, there's not just one kind of wheat that you could say the best wheat's from California. My whole family was like, you idiot. He's saying weed. And then Dax was like, Dad, you're such an idiot that you're going to show up on the show. You were going to show up on the show tomorrow and you were going to say this without knowing that it was weed because that's the kind of idiot you are. And I'm like, man, dude. I'm like, but then now, like, I'm like, and then Dax goes to me, Justin Bieber doesn't even know bread is made from wheat. Why would he even say that? When is Justin Bieber using wheat? And I'm like, all right, Dax, it's fair, man.
Oof.
It's fair.
That's quite a takedown.
Get my pretzels, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just thought it was just a list of like cool things he got somewhere. And I also, I got to be honest, I'm sorry, California. I didn't realize that you were head and shoulders above the rest of us in your weed production. I thought it was like Amsterdam was the weed. And Dax goes, no, that's where the best magic mushrooms are. I'm like, what? What? Nah. Anyway, that's this week's.
Also, Justin Bieber really betrayed Canada, not saying BC is the best weed.
Oh.
No loyalty.
Wow. Well, California and British Columbia are basically just the same thing. Like, just you got Portland and, I mean, you got Oregon and California, I mean, Oregon and Washington in between you, but it's all the same strip, right? I mean, couldn't that all be, you could just hack that whole thing off and make a separate country if you wanted to, right? Just all the way from Baja all the way up to Vancouver. Couldn't you make that just one country if you really needed to?
I guess, but it's not.
I don't know. Anyway. And what makes, so what, like, now that I've got to be honest, because I don't know anything about this, but like now that it's all, I mean, most of the high grade stuff's hydroponic, right? Why would it matter where it is? What's the terroir of a hydroponic thing, or is it just the people are smarter there, so they have better technology?
I don't know, but you can't find any dirt weed anymore with the seeds.
Do you like that, or you like a seed?
No, that was like a high school thing. Like, that's all you got.
Yeah.
So
now you can't find it.
So you're saying, wait. So is there a business for what they used to call that, swag weeds?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was like really poor quality, and sometimes it worked.
Like a nostalgia. You need a nostalgia thing where it comes with a ripped concert T-shirt, right? Like half a mugging, like get a little bit mugged. You know what I mean? Yeah, and a bag of swag weed. Yeah. What do you think? Business or not a business?
Not a business.
Not a business?
No, nobody wants any of that.
No.
Speaking of not a business. So like I 3D printed these stainless steel jiggers that I like, and they're awesome. I made a couple of them. I love them. They weigh like 100. They weigh 175 grams, which is heavy for a jigger. That's like divide that by 30 they're like 5 ounces or more.
That's like a really good record press.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was 190 or 175.
I love that you know that. I love that you know the vinyl numbers. So awesome. Yeah. So anyway, freaking hefty, right? So when you're holding it, you're like, oh yeah. It's not like stamped, right? But they were really expensive. So I was looking and I was like, what? I think anyone who appreciates holding things that are awesome. So I made, they're not as heavy because they're thicker, but when Garrett Richard was on, he was like, I wish someone made a 3/8, 5/8 jigger. So I made him some, right? Out of stainless. And they're also real chunky for how small they are. And then I was like, these can't be made. No one could ever make these. How much could you sell something like that for? And I don't think you could sell it for more than like $40. And if you were going to sell it for $40, I would probably have to pay, if I was going to do metal injection molding, right? The tooling alone is probably like 60 grand, right? 50, 60 grand. And then I'm probably paying like, I don't know, because I'm not making that many, so I'm probably paying like $10 a piece or something like this, right? And yeah, toast, right? Toast. So like, this is toast. This is why you can't make anything. This is why if you want something real bad, just design it yourself, learn how to 3D model, design it yourself, send it out, and print it, because we just can't make stuff like that, right, Stas? It can't be done. Yeah.
No.
Hey, Jack.
Yep.
Happy birthday!
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That Scary. I'm scared. I'm scared.
It was.
By the way, my family, I know a lot of people hate it, but, in my family, one of the things that my son can't tolerate, you know what I mean, is the birthday song. So, and also my nephew, who's has the same kind of sensory hang up, can't tolerate it. So like it used to be when I unfortunately had to take him to birthday parties, it was like one of the worst times in my, like I used to hate playgrounds. I still do. Playgrounds and birthday parties to me are like, the worst because I'm still kind of traumatized because you would have to remove him like two things away from it. And he's still to this day, like when the cake comes out, he goes to a different room because he just doesn't want to, even the possibility that someone might sing that song. But yeah, it's a triggering song. So I'm glad you didn't play the song and just played, someone doing it.
I belong to this library and unfortunately, the Happy Birthday song is licensed. And so I chose a weird Japanese version.
Yeah. It is
fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
so I'm just saying a lot of people have this issue. So even if you're going to break licensing out there, don't broadcast the birthday song to people if you're not going to give them fair warning. Because there's a lot of people out there, I think, triggered. 2 people in my family alone. So just think of how many people there are who aren't my family. It can't just be my family. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. All right. So... Also, Quinn, we said it a little earlier, congratulations on 6 months on the show. So you're like, man, this was a mistake? You're like, this was a huge mistake. Is that what you're thinking? That's what I would be thinking if I were you. This is a huge mistake.
No.
Yeah?
We're finally shipping through those.
We're almost done, in fact. We've shipped over 3/4 of them, right?
Yeah, we're at I think we're close to 80%.
Yeah. And, so far, so good. Yeah, nice. All right. And who do we have coming up on Patreon there, John? Or Quinn? I don't care.
Well, Quinn, you take the reins.
Oh, yeah, next week. Yeah, next week we've got sort of new buddy of mine, Dylan Rothenberg. He's a tea science researcher, so I think that will be pretty exciting. I think it will. But I'm a weird nerd. And then we have Carolyn Schiff rescheduled for February 21st.
Yeah. Ask him to be prepared to talk to us about if there's a better word than tisane, because, man, that word stinks. What a dumb word.
Tisane.
Tisane. Maybe it sounds good, en français, but, like, in English, what is this tea stain? What? Tisane? What? It's like, but then, like, some tea people get all bent into a 5 blossom bread if you say to them that something is a tea if it's not actually from the tea plant. You know what I'm saying?
I'm one of those people.
You get all bent? You get all bent? Why?
I don't get bent. I'm just call it an infusion. It's an herbal infusion.
Yeah, because that sounds so awesome when a server comes up to you. We have teas and herbal infusions. I don't know. Maybe it sounds better than tisane. Or tisane. If you're a French restaurant, you can do it. What do you guys think, Stas, Jack, Joe?
Well, I'm indifferent on this.
Really? Yeah, well, I could guess that Nastasia would be indifferent. She's like, I'm not going to drink it, so I don't care. Get me the rosé bubbly.
That's kind of where I'm at, too, though.
Yeah? All right. Jack, are you also a rosé bubbly man, like the rest of us? Who here is not a rosé bubbly person?
I'm not.
I mean, I like it, yeah. It's not like the first thing I'm going to, but...
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's not my first choice, but I don't, actively dislike it. I like it.
All right. Okay. And I forgot, I should say this at the top of every show. Call, if you're a Patreon listener, call into 917-410-1507. That's 917-410-1507. In order to do that, you have to join the Patreon. How do they do that, John?
Patreon.com/cookingissues.
And I will reiterate, if you are on our Patreon and you would like something from us, ask. Because I don't know exactly what you want. If I did, I already would have provided that thing. There's certain things that are hard for me to do because I have certain issues that aren't necessarily cooking related. I don't know if you know this, but I have also non-cooking related issues. So some things that seem easy for people to do. Might be hard for me to do, but there's a lot of things I can do that seem hard for people to do that are actually, in fact, quite easy for me to do. Right, John?
Yeah.
You've had to deal with this.
Yeah, I did, yes.
It doesn't necessarily make sense to the outside world what would be easy for me and what would be difficult for me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Like, hey, Dave, you have to sign this piece of paper. That's weeks. Weeks.
So long.
Answer this email. Never. You know what I mean?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Design this jigger. Done in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like, you know how it is. Yeah. So Zach writes in, and Quinn, I think we're going to have to save this. When's Matt coming on next?
I don't know. I can schedule something for like March, maybe.
I mean, and it's been a while. Everyone likes having the Kitchen Arts and Letters on, right? But here's what I'll do. I'll read this in case anyone wants to send us their recommendations before Matt comes on. All right. Question for No Tangent Tuesday, because I don't know the answer to this. Are there any good books that explore the culinary transformation of Italian immigrants in the early 20th century? I recently went to Sicily, where my grandparents were from, and the quantity of produce and fresh fish that was available was astounding. However, the food my grandmother cooked in the U.S. was mostly heavily beef, pork, tomato, and pasta dishes, a very different experience than the food in modern Sicily. She died long ago, but I would love to better understand the culinary impact immigration had on her generation. That's an awesome subject. I mean, most of the family. Well, your family's from that way, Joe.
Yes, they are.
My family's Sicilian.
Pozzolo.
Yeah, my connection to it is more, closer to Naples. Like that kind of area, the Avellino area. So I don't know how much those two cultures merged when they came here. You know what I mean, or how much it became more of a common thing. But like, what did you guys eat growing up from that side?
Let's see. A lot of sauce, a lot of fish, actually. A lot of octopus, lots of clams, and it was always with pasta. Never, like, we were in Sicily maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and we fell in love with Syracuse. The fresh food was just phenomenal. It just had totally different tastes. Totally different taste. Olive oil was like, I never had olive oil like that in my life.
The Sicilian olive oil is among my favorite in the world, for sure. We got to get Captain Greasy back on sometime soon.
The weird thing was, because we went to many restaurants. Pretty much everywhere we went out to eat, and large families gathered, and everyone ate French fries as appetizers.
Really?
Everyone ate French fries as appetizers, and then everyone got pizza.
What do they call them there?
That's a good question. I don't know. We stayed away. And the portions were huge.
Really?
Huge.
Like American style?
Bigger.
Come on.
Bigger.
How were the people getting bigger?
They were all moderately sized.
All right. Interesting. I know that, again, I wish I knew more about the Sicilian side. I know, the family, everyone in the Boston area, they was all like, Sunday was the pasta with the gravy, and then the meats that were cooked in the gravy: pork chops, sausage, braciole. You know what I mean? And then and meatballs. And then that was they would serve the pasta, and then you would serve the gravy, which is what we would call sauce, and then you would serve the meat on a separate dish. I mean, even though those things were all cooked together, that's how we would have it. And that was just that was a Sunday dinner. That's what you did. You know what I mean? So, but I would guess in Sicilian families it would be different, but I don't know.
Well, see, I have a Sicilian family, and they were immigrants, and the food they made was just not good. It was just like poor people food, Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of it, probably. I mean, all my grandma would make is like pasta with peas, pasta with cauliflower, pasta with ricotta, and nothing else. It was like kind of necessity-based meals. So maybe that's kind of part of why the abundance of produce and fish and stuff doesn't make it to some immigrant families. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. So my stepfather's family, this goes to what you're saying, Jack. My stepfather's family came over in 1908 or somewhere around there. And I met the guy who emigrated. He was real old when I met him in the 80s. Nanu was his name. And he was a butcher. He came over, did all this stuff. And so I knew that generation a little bit. And, my stepfather's father's generation, I grew up knowing him. You know what I mean? So it was it was all still really real to them, and they had a phrase that went exactly to what you're talking about. Like they came from poverty in Italy, so here they wanted to be very successful, and they used to have a phrase which I don't even know what it is in Italian because all I could hear was my English ears hearing them say it. But "Mutravam American." In other words, these Americans, they come from hunger, right? So like they would always have more food out. More like they more. You know what I mean? So like as a way to show that they had made it was by providing like lots of very well made lavish food to show that they were making it. They didn't come from hunger, and so Americans who were cheap, especially WASPs, like like me, although they weren't saying "Hey, f you, Dave," you know what I mean? But like that we somehow by being stingy, it's like we come from hunger, right? So there was a conscious move away from the poverty cuisine that they had come from. An interesting idea, though. You know what I mean?
Hey, Dave, are you sure his name was Nanu, and that's not just the Italian word for grandpa?
That's what they call. Maybe I don't know. Everyone call him Nanu. Everyone. So I don't know what his name was. I know.
Yeah,
I know his very.
That's what I called.
I know his
my grandpa.
Yeah, I know his very messed up nickname that he had when people were not. Everyone in the family had a crazy nickname. What was his actual name? So the other one, Gerard's dad, was always called Papa. His name was Arcangelo. So what? Oh, actually, yes, his name was Carmine. His actual name was Carmine. Yeah. Anyway, Carmine. Yeah, there you go. Good call, Quinn. Good call.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
My brother was almost named Mario after my grandfather. And guess what my name almost was?
What?
Luigi.
Oh, my God. Did your parents know? Do they know?
No. My mom put the kibosh on that.
All right. Because she somehow is familiar with Nintendo characters, whereas your father is not?
No, she just wanted to not continue the tradition of, like, naming from inside the family.
Oh, so you have an actual Mario and an actual Luigi inside your family?
Yeah, no. My grandfather on my dad's side, his name is Mario, and his brother was Luigi.
Come on. Now that you should have led with that. My grandpa and my great uncle were Mario and Luigi, and they carried hammers around and wore a goofy hat. Yeah, that's what you should have said. Started with that.
I mean, not for us.
Actually, why were they stonemasons? There was a lot of Italian immigrant stonemasons back in the day. Yeah.
I mean, he did stonemasonry as almost a hobby, and then he worked in cars.
All right. It's an interesting Quinn fact that I did not know.
Somebody in the Discord is recommending.
And my grandmother. Sorry, go ahead.
Harvey Levenstein's The American Response to Italian Food, 1880 to 1930.
All right. Ask and you shall receive. Yeah. What were you saying about your grandma?
Yeah, again, they are from Calabria, and they moved here when my dad was 2. So they're not, like, long-time immigrants, but they also did, like, the Sunday sauce sort of thing.
Huh. Yeah, well, that's much closer, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like, who knows what the Sicilians did? I don't know. Apparently, Jack does.
Yeah.
Alex Godin writes in, hey, Dave, can you ask Dave which DMT stone, we're talking about sharpening stones. We might get a new stone system to test, right, Quinn? You're talking to someone to test a new system out? But
yeah.
I don't know. You're like, I mean, you sound like it's not going to happen. That's fine. DMT is the one that I've used for a long time, and Alex wants to know which one. And he sent me a picture of one of their smaller ones that kind of folds up. And the answer is no. I only ever get the 10-inch stone that has extra fine and fine on it, the green and the red.
Yeah.
And the reason to get the 10-inch stone is that it's a lot more area and it's just much easier to get a good long swipe of your knife along a larger stone than it is to get it along a smaller stone. So it's definitely worth, you're like, well, 8 inches is only 2 inches less than 10 inches, so really it's not that big of a deal. It is. It's a lot easier to sharpen on a 10-inch stone than it is to sharpen on an 8-inch stone. Now, for many years, the list price of these things went up to $180, which is ridiculous. However, and I looked on Amazon, and for a while on Amazon they were really expensive, but the price on Amazon is down like $110, right? So it's down to like $110, which is still expensive. Back in the day, I was paying like $80 for them.
90, yeah.
Yeah, $80, $90. So they do cost more, and so because the price has gone up, and it does require learning how to hold the knife at a particular angle, we are looking at other systems. Like most of the systems that I've tried that require that hold a very precise angle also have a lot of setup mishigash. And if you have to set stuff up, what that means is that you're sharpening once every 6 months or something because you're like, now I'm going to do all my knives. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then for that period of time, your knives are really, really sharp, right? So anyway, so we're looking at another place, but from the sound of Quinn's voice, it doesn't look like they're going to send us one. And guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to reach into my pocket. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you have already works? Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My knives are sharp.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Is that a good answer for that, Quinn? Are we all right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Mr. Molecules, Ryan Briggs wants to know on the Twitter if you have any thoughts of the top few things to eat and or do in Oaxaca City in February. They'd appreciate the answer. They're going to spend about a week. What do you think?
A week. Okay, you can have him reach out to me directly for more tailored recs, but I would say obviously you need to kind of go deep into the mezcal tastings, and mezcal in situ, INSITU, is a really good tasting room experience, and then Mezcalogia, Mezcal OGIA. These are two bars that have really good mezcal selections. And then go to Mercado 20 de Noviembre. It's like the big market there, and there's a lot of good food stalls outside of that. One of them is called Chef Anita, and they do an incredible pozole. And then Itanoni, Itanoni, has like tepaches and all kinds of weird fermented Mexican drinks and a really good breakfast. It sort of depends on what you want to do, but Oaxaca City is definitely smaller than Mexico City. It's older. You need to make sure you have some of the moles because that's where all the good moles are, and they're all very different depending on the person that makes them. And maybe do a day trip outside of Oaxaca City. I think there are a lot of really cool places to go just outside. There's this really cool place where there's a market in a town outside of Oaxaca City, and there's a woman that dresses. She's been doing this for years. She dresses just like Frida Kahlo, in costume, full costume, and it's just this kind of home cooking stall. You don't really know what she'll be making. You just sort of show up, and it's like being at someone's house, and she brings you out plates of whatever they've got. And all the Mexican kids kind of come up and take pictures with her as Frida. It's really awesome. You'll probably be the only non-Mexican person there, but
her food is good.
Outstanding, yeah, outstanding.
Huh.
Usually, when I go, they'll bring you a plate of 6 or 7 moles or sauces, and you kind of just probe them all. And then they give you a tortilla, sort of to taste, and then you sort of point at the one you thought was the best, and then they'll bring you some kind of chicken or something smothered in that.
Now, is it she's like, yeah, I'm good at looking like Frida Kahlo and I'm good at food service? Or is it that Frida Kahlo actually had some sort of food connection and she's joining those up? Or is she just I happen to have these two skills and I'm going to bring them together?
Yeah, no, I think it's just the food first and then she likes dressing up like Frida. I don't think they're connected in any other way.
All right. Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a good.
We actually saw very quickly. Last time I was there, I saw it was a 6-year-old Mexican girl who had a microphone plugged into her phone, and she was doing her parents were kind of helping her along, like interview the woman as Frida, and she was taking pictures of the food. It was pretty much the cutest thing I've ever seen. She was like she was hosting her own food show.
But was she pretending to be Frida Kahlo? Was she pretend? In other words, like, was she like, I am Frida Kahlo? Was she doing are we going back to reenacting again, or is she like? All right.
No.
Huh?
Totally worth it. But yeah, tell that person to DM me. I'm at Jack Inslee on Twitter. I'm easy to find. I'll happily help.
Oaxacan string cheese is delicious even here, but is Oaxacan string cheese in Oaxaca much better?
Yeah, it's fresher. I mean, yes.
Well, I mean, they don't make it in Oaxacan ship here. They make it here as Oaxacan string cheese. But I don't know what's the difference between like.
Right, that's a good question.
Is it better because you're having it there?
Because when you're. That's what I mean. Yeah, it could be that.
You know what I don't like is when
you have to do like a side by side.
When you buy it here, it's vac packed together, and so it doesn't pull apart in as long of a shreds as it did when I saw it in Mexico City. But of course, Mexico City is not Oaxaca, right? So who knows? Like maybe they have a lock on some sort of string cheese technology that I don't even know about. It's like how you go to another country and you have a hamburger and you're like, you people do not know how to make hamburgers. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So is it the same thing with Oaxacan string cheese where like someone from Oaxaca comes up here and is like, nope. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be, maybe it's the same.
Yeah.
What's the worst country at hamburgers? Germany? Who makes the worst hamburgers?
The worst hamburgers?
No offense, Germany. I love you. But I'm saying like the last time I had a hamburger in Germany, it was like half a meatloaf. It was like meatloaf. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had some pretty terrible ones in Southeast Asia.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they do to them?
I don't know. I think also it's just like different beef there. Sometimes they'd get it brought in from Australia and then it was kind of fine, but then the local stuff just wasn't. It was just like stringy and I don't know, like.
How do you make a stringy hamburger?
I don't know, man. It was really just bizarre and unpleasant.
I feel bad what I said about Germany, but I don't want my hamburger to be meatloafy.
No,
I don't want it to be bound that way. You know what I mean? Anyway.
They've probably changed.
Yeah, I haven't been in many, many years.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I apologize. Jeez. Chef de Cuisine off Twitter says, I heard you guys talking about yandu. I have not seen this or heard of it before. Is it similar to magi? And or magi? I never pronounce it out. I call it magi because the gift of the magi. But that's that. I've used it. I know that like okay. So I haven't used it in a long time because in certain places, because in certain places it's gotten a bad rap by, what's the word I'm looking for? Displacing other like local things and just like kind of adding salt. Although everyone I know that uses it loves it. And I have used it. It's good. I would say that what I said, I responded on Twitter, is that yandu is more taste neutral than magi is because it's got like I think memory serves it has like celery salt in it or lovage or something like this, and so it's just more. It's less like how when you add Worcestershire sauce to something, you're like, oh yeah, that's got Worcestershire sauce in it. Or if you add soy sauce to something, it's like, oh yeah, that's got soy sauce in it. You know what I mean? And yandu, I don't feel like it's that much of like a hammer, right, Don?
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing as just adding MSG either.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a really well-balanced product. I like it a lot.
Yeah. All right. So what else we got here? Fern Supper Club. I was wondering if there's anything I could do to reduce the hygroscopic, which is a good word because I always want to say hydro, but it's hygroscopic nature of sugar when making honeycomb. All of my honeycomb deteriorates faster than I would like. It makes sense that most of the honeycomb I see in stores is covered in chocolate. I imagine this acts as a moisture barrier. I want to keep my honeycomb naked. Now, are we referring to actual honeycomb, or are we talking about like the candy, or are we talking about the cereal?
Again, they're making it, so I think it's like
because bees make honeycomb,
or whatever you call it.
Bees make honeycomb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're talking about the candy, the foamed candy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Go buy a.
Although
what?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I'm saying they could cover it in a thin layer of beeswax.
if it was honeycomb. Well, my point is just store it.
I'm saying.
Yeah, store it in a place where there's no moisture. Like, use a desiccant, right? So, like, what I would say is that just use it, like, store it with a desiccant. Desiccant, by the way, when you're storing something with a desiccant, it's always difficult to gauge how much desiccant to use, and I think people they use less than they should, right? Because there's a maximum amount of moisture that a particular desiccant can absorb. Some of them are color changing. Some of them you can reuse. It's not necessarily green, but you can buy single-use desiccant packets that come wrapped, and then when you close it in something, then it's good to go. I have a whole bunch of desiccant salts at my house. Well, actually, I can create any. I think I mentioned this on air before. I can create any roughly humidity I want. I forget what the driest one is. There's one that's fundamentally like Death Valley dry. I believe it's lithium chloride. And you keep that in the bottom of your container. Don't let it touch your food. One of the salts did some weird stuff, like really expanded strangely when it hydrated. But then you keep one of those things saturated there, and it will never pick up moisture. So I would say use a desiccant, and rather than coating it, because most coatings that are waterproof are also unpleasant to eat. You know what I mean? You could use, if you didn't mind coating it with something, and you just didn't want the flavor of chocolate, you could also just use like cocoa butter, like deodorized cocoa butter, or a white, non-chocolate flavored white couverture. But if you want it naked, then you got to keep the water away from it. I mean, there's things that are really creepy, like corn zane, but like no one's gonna like dip that, and then you have that film on the outside, and that's gross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, anyone else have any other ideas? No? Anyway.
No.
Yeah. Desiccant. Desiccants are your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The worst was we used to make these things called Methocel F50 puffs. So Methocel is, I forget which one of the methacellulose variants it was, the F50 was, but its main property was a lot of the methocels people use because they gel when they get hot, which is weird. So like if you ever used to have the thing where someone would show up at the table with like a squeezy bottle and like a bowl of dashi, and then they take the squeezy bottle and they're like, wah, 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 and they squeeze the squeezy bottle into the dashi, and then it sets into a solid noodle. You seen this?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what most people are using Methocel for, right? Or the way that the Methocel people wanted you to use it was, you add the Methocel to your pie filling, and then when you heat the pie filling up, it doesn't boil out of the crust because it sets as a gel. But when the pie cools down, it turns back into a liquid again so that it's not too hard. That was what they liked. That was one thing. The Methocel people were all about that. The other thing the Methocel people were all about was they were like, so you could paint the barbecue sauce on your chicken. It's got Methocel in it, and when you put it on the grill, it gets hot. Instead of the barbecue sauce getting more liquidy and running off, it's going to turn to a solid. I'm like, yeah, but the real problem is the barbecue sauce is going to burn. The real problem is it burning, not it falling off of the chicken. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that they were like, well, if you add it to batter, then when it gets hot, it turns to a gel, so fat won't be able to penetrate, and you'll get less grease absorption. I'm like, I'm not worried about that. I actually like a little bit of grease in my food. But the Methocel F50 puffs would always pick up too much water, and we used to store them in a vacuum. So if you don't want to use a desiccant, you can also store something in a vacuum, and that's going to keep liquid away. Am I missing anything else I was supposed to? I think I answered this question from Devin, where Devin wanted to know how far a pan can be from an induction cooking mechanism to work, like how far the magnetic field expands around the plates. I answered that, right? And mine, it's about 10 millimeters. All right, what else we got here? Austin Denny wants to know about oleogelation, which is a product where you can turn fats into solids. There's various ways to do it. Has anyone done it from a culinary standpoint? I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. Have you ever seen anyone do that in an interesting way? If it was super delicious, I think people would be doing it. I do alter and I've talked about this on air, where like I'll do things with like half olive oil and half coconut fat to get something that's solid at room temperature but tastes like olive oil. But I'm not using any weird gelling agents. I'm just like mixing fats with different proportions. And I'll leave you guys then with this. My current favorite fry, because people want me to say things I've been working on. I always use for fry oil things like corn or peanut. Corn is actually good because most of it already comes to you a little bit messed up. It's already a little bit broken in because most corn oil is not that great straight out of the bottle, which actually makes it better for frying, strangely. But I mix it like about 50-50 with Crisco. It still will go mostly liquid when it's done, so it's easy to heat up and cool down. And it's kind of got the best of both worlds. Get the trans fat-free Crisco, and it's not a solid when it cools, so it doesn't feel greasy, but it's got the really good heat transfer and the crispiness you get from a hydrogenated fat. So mix Crisco with your liquid fat for a good time frying, people. Cooking issues.